Hello, everybody. Blessings to you all, and welcome you all for the next episode on women health and harmony. In the last few episodes, we have covered basics of infertility and control ovarian stimulation, followed by intrauterine insemination. And in this particular episode, we are going to cover all high-tech procedures which have benefited so many couples all over the world. And these procedures include something like test tube baby, which is commonly known as, but in our medical term, we call it IVF and ET, so in vitro fertilization followed by embryo transfer, or ICSI followed by ET, or intracytoplasmic sperm injection followed by ET. And then we have a huge donor egg program and a donor sperm program, surrogacy, embryo donation, and many more procedures are covered under this entire headline as ART procedures. Usually we do not resort to these high-tech ART procedures unless conventional procedures have failed or not available for a given couple. And all these procedures, it really carries a lot of burden on the patient financially, emotionally, and physically, and they need to be counseled thoroughly as regard this procedure, exactly what you are planning, how do we go about it, and do not give any unrealistic expectations to this couple, because that will really create a lot of mental trauma to them in the event that it particular procedure fails. Both the partners should be thoroughly investigated before taking these patients for ART procedures. All other medical disorders should be ruled out. They are young people. There may be some hidden diseases which may cause harm while performing these particular procedures, and hence a proper counseling and thorough investigation is mandatory. And once you are fully satisfied they are fit for this particular procedure, only then you can go ahead with these procedures. And then you need to really counsel the husband and wife as far as the procedure is concerned, the financial aspects of the procedure, the time which is taken, and the degree of success or the failure rate that is available for a given particular procedure. And these particular patients, once having investigated thoroughly, are subjected to pre-cycle medication or treatment which will enhance their ability to conceive and improve the success rates. So any ART procedure starts with the stimulation protocols. There are many stimulation protocols which have been explained and are available in the literature all over the world. Few of these protocols I will just explain to you all. The first and the foremost protocol is known as the long protocol or luteal phase down regulation protocol. This was a protocol which was commonly used for around 2 decades. The drawback of this particular protocol is that it is little long time consuming, is more expensive, and the risk of ovarian hyperstimulation with this particular protocol is high. And hence a second protocol which has come into existence now is the one known as antagonist protocol or a short protocol. This is the protocol which is practiced all over the world now. It's as far as the time is concerned, this is a short protocol. It is little less expensive, and the risk of ovarian hyperstimulation with this particular protocol is minimum, and this is worldwide accepted protocol as of today. There are many other protocols which have not come into vogue now. One of them is step up protocol, not practiced so commonly. The second one is step down protocol, again not practiced so commonly. And then minimal stimulation protocol, which came in between, and it was especially made for a lower socioeconomic status group. Again, the yield and the results are not very good. That's why this particular protocol also is not so commonly practiced. There are 2 protocols I would like to mention here for poor responders. The patients of poor responders have poor ovarian reserves, and their success rate to being poor ovarian reserves is very low. And there are 2 protocols I would like to mention here for poor responders, and one of them is known as DOR protocol or diminished ovarian reserve protocol. Important issue or aspect of this particular protocol is that one more additional hormone which is used here is known as growth hormone. So growth hormone is often used in DOR protocol for maturation and growth of the follicles. Another protocol which is commonly used for poor responders is double stimulation protocol, where what we do is that in one particular cycle there are 2 phases. One is proliferative phase, another one is secretory phase. And in proliferative phase we do one stimulation, then do a pickup, then give a gap of around 5 to 7 days, and then we go ahead with second stimulation in the luteal phase, so that we add the number of eggs to this particular stimulation protocol, so thereby giving a better better yield and a better success rate. So the next important step in ART procedure is known as OPU or ovum pickup. Now, ovum pickup is the procedure which is done under anesthesia in a small theatre which is attached to an embryology lab. After the stimulation protocols, when multifollicular growth appears, when the leading follicles are anywhere between 18 to 20 millimeters, the idea is to achieve around 6 to 10 matured follicles. A trigger is given to stimulate or to mature these follicles in the body itself. So an HCG trigger is given, and then the patient is subjected to ovum pickup under anesthesia 34 hours after HCG trigger. So this is again a high-tech procedure which is performed under ultrasound control. A disposable needle is introduced through a transvaginal scan over the needle guide, and the ovary is approached and the follicles are aspirated under strict aseptic precautions under anesthesia. And the objective is to aspirate around 6 to 10 follicles in a given cycle, and all these follicles are aspirated and the entire follicles are laid in a petri dish containing culture medium. In the culture medium, the follicles are denuded and eggs are exposed, and the excess of culture medium is being removed, and then a standard IVF procedure or an ICSI procedure is performed. So after the denudation is done, then the prepared semen sample with very healthy and live sperms are extracted and brought close to your petri dish containing the eggs. And there are two procedures which can be performed after this. One is known as in vitro fertilization, and the second one is ICSI or intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So in vitro fertilization, we don't really inject the sperm in each and every egg, but what we do is that healthy sperms are kept around the egg in the petri dish which contains culture medium. So this petri dish is kept in an incubator. Incubator is a system which is very high tech, and it has absolutely controlled concentration of oxygen, carbon dioxide, temperature, gases, and it is thoroughly aseptic all throughout. And that particular incubator acts like a human body and helps in the growth and fertilization of the embryo when the petri dish is kept in the incubator. The second procedure is known as intracytoplasmic sperm injection, where what is done, this is again done with a high-tech machine known as micromanipulator, where each and every egg is kept under the micromanipulator, is stabilized, and one healthy sperm is injected through the zona pellucida of the outer shell of the egg and is directly injected inside the cytoplasm of matured egg, so allowing it to fertilize. And this particular ICSI procedure, once it is performed, the same petri dish is again kept back in the incubator for it to really get fertilized, and a fertilized embryo will be seen after a day or two after the procedure of ICSI is being carried out. So the incubated petri dishes are removed at the end of 24 hours or 48 hours, and you look for healthy embryos which are developed, which will give you an idea about the number of embryos developed, the quality of embryos. And embryos are graded into 3 grades: grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. Grade 1 embryo is one of the best embryos. Grade 3 embryo is little substandard quality embryos. All that you also look at is the percentage of fragmentation which is present along the embryo. So lesser percentage of fragmentation, better is the quality of embryo. So we know the number of embryos which are present with us, and then you decide the policy of embryo transfer. Embryo transfer is usually done on 2nd day, 3rd day or 5th day depending on the center's choice. Usually it is commonly done on day 3 or day 5. Day 5 embryo transfers probably yields little better results because the quality of embryos which are present in day 5 embryos or the blastocysts are far more superior and better, probably is likely to yield better results. Type of embryo transfer procedures are defined as fresh embryo transfers and frozen embryo transfers. So after the pickup, immediately on the 2nd day or 3rd day or 5th day, if you do a embryo transfer, this particular procedure is known as fresh embryo transfer. So if there are no contraindications to go ahead with fresh embryo transfer, then we will go ahead with fresh embryo transfer. But there are certain hurdles or there are certain contraindications for a fresh embryo transfer, then all these embryos are frozen, and then we go ahead with frozen embryo transfers in subsequent cycles. Frozen embryo transfers also are done usually on day 2, day 3 or day 5 of a day of ovum pickup, and on that particular day when you decide to go ahead with frozen embryo transfers, the frozen embryo transfers are removed from the cryocell or the cryocan, and they are thawed, they are brought to the body temperature, and you reconfirm that they are growing well and they are developing well, then you go ahead with the procedure of embryo transfer. This particular procedure is high-tech, it is very delicate, it has to be done properly because this is what will decide the success rate of the entire procedure. And in this particular procedure, a preloaded catheter and the syringe is kept ready with the embryos. The patient is taken on the operation table, she is given lithotomy, the internal genitals are exposed with the Cusco speculum, and the preloaded catheter is inserted inside the uterine cavity with a no-touch technique, very smoothly under ultrasound control, so that the tip of the catheter and the entire catheter is seen while its passage through the uterine cavity, and the embryos are slowly injected inside the uterus or delivered inside the uterus around 1 to 1.5 centimeters below the fundus. So number of embryos which are transferred per cycle will depend on the center and the policy of the center. So we transfer anywhere from 2 to 4 embryos. Usually more than 4 embryos are not transferred, and suppose we transfer more than 4 embryos, then you are in with a higher risk of multifetal pregnancies like twins, triplets and quadruplets. So after the procedure of embryo transfer is over, these particular patients are put on medical line of support. The hormone which is commonly used to support the pregnancy is a pregnancy hormone called micronized progesterone. So micronized progesterone is administered from the day of transfer for a period of 14 days. This can also be done with an addition of injections known as HCG or human chorionic gonadotropin. So addition of HCG along with micronized progesterone is likely to increase the success rate, and these hormones and this progesterone is given over a period of 14 days, and then whether particular procedure has failed or is successful is seen by means of a blood test which is done at the end of 14 days, and that is known as beta HCG titer. So beta human chorionic gonadotropin titer on blood estimation will determine whether the entire procedure is successful or it has failed. So once urinary pregnancy test and the serum beta HCG titer is positive and it is in the range, then we confirm that this particular patient is pregnant. Then we continue with the medication for another 14 days and then subject all these patients to a transvaginal sonography to confirm a live intrauterine pregnancy at the end of 14 days of a positive beta HCG titer. So this is a standard ART procedure where it involves stimulation followed by ovum pickup followed by embryo transfer and then a luteal support and confirmation of pregnancy. Now there are many other ancillary procedures which are available in a group of ART procedures. So there is something called a donor egg program, where the donor egg program is used for all those couples where the wife or the female partner doesn't have adequate reserves of eggs. So you need to hire these eggs from a donor, so a properly selected donor which will match the patient's needs and requirements. Her eggs are picked up and these particular eggs are fertilized with the husband's sperm, and an embryo which is formed outside the body is released into the uterus of the donor after a proper preparation of the uterus. So another big program is the donor sperm program, where the husband doesn't have good quality sperms or is not able to produce sperms, and hence wife is not able to conceive. Under these circumstances, the sperms are obtained from the sperm bank. They are matched with the husband's criteria, and an in vitro fertilization procedure is done with the donor sperm, and the embryo which is formed is finally transferred back into the patient's womb. So another ART procedure which is available to many couples is embryo donation. Now embryo donation is procedure which is offered to those couples where the wife doesn't have adequate or good quality eggs and the husband doesn't have adequate or good quality sperms, and they are not able to procreate with their own eggs and sperms. So under these circumstances, both the gametes are being used, where the embryos are formed and they are preserved in the lab, and these particular embryos, after the preparation of the womb of the wife, these embryos are transferred into her body, and you wait for the success rate at the end of 14 days of embryo transfers. And finally, I would like to touch upon surrogacy. So surrogacy is another big chapter Surrogate is a woman who actually allows her womb to be given on hire for a couple who do not have either a uterus or it's a faulty uterus where they are not able to procreate or grow the pregnancy in their uteri for a period of 9 months. These are the couples where surrogacy is chosen for, and the embryos which are prepared from the husband and the wife's gamete, these particular embryos are transferred in a surrogate uterus after having prepared the surrogate uterus, and you wait for 14 days for the results of surrogacy. So friends, many advances have occurred in the field of reproductive medicine. Newer and newer procedures and high-tech modalities are coming up to help these couples to procreate, and a time will come where stem cell technology will also be produced and developed so fast that the childless couples will be benefited to a great extent. These stem cells are actually produced from somatic cells. A body cell can convert itself into an egg or a sperm and help in having a baby for that particular couple who do not have adequate gametes or the sperms or the eggs. Friends, I wish you all have learned a lot from this series of lectures, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.